Okay guys, full disclosure, I'm completely addicted to coffee. I try to quit every 2 days, but I can't. It's just too good.
What?
Oh my goodness. So what Glucose Goddess is doing here is she's flatlining her liver. So she's recommending what I like to call an acid-based breakfast. Well, hello frugivore. Welcome back to another episode. So today's video is going to be a reaction video. I know it's been quite a while, but it is time, especially with Glucose Goddess on the block. And she made a video with Vogue France, how to avoid glucose spikes, Glucose Goddess answers. So I'm going to look at the breakfast portion of this video and speak about that specifically, and maybe in subsequent videos I can go to other parts of the video. But I just want to focus more on the breakfast because she has been pushing this savory breakfast all over the internet lately, and I want to speak more about it. So let's get straight into it.
So the first most important hack in my method to keep your glucose level steady is to have a savory breakfast. Science shows us that if you eat sugar in the morning, you're gonna have a big glucose spike and then your entire day is gonna be cravings and fatigue. So what—
Oh, wow. She's straight off the bat into a huge pseudoscientific statement. Basically, if you have sugar in the morning, you're screwed the rest of the day. That's what she's saying. This is not actually supported by science. She's being very vague and misleading with this statement. Is she saying that, like, if you just have some sugar in the morning and then you don't eat the rest of the day, yeah, you're going to have fatigue and you're going to have cravings because you're not having enough food. No one's recommending that. So that is a, unique context with that statement. So what she seems to not understand about how the body works is that glucose spikes are actually a natural response to carbohydrate intake or to taking sugar in. This is normal. This is the way that the fuel actually gets into the cell. This isn't a bad thing. What is a problem is when blood sugar stays elevated for too long. It's not the spike, that's normal. Insulin comes along and it helps the sugar get into the cell. You want that. That's called digestion and receiving fuel. So she's incorrect. And look, over 18 years having a sugary, sweet breakfast. That's me here. No afternoon fatigue, no crazy cravings. And I've been doing this for like 15 years before Glucose Goddess came on the block with this misinformation. So to begin with, that is definitely not true.
So what you want to do, you start your day with protein. And if you're bored of eggs, you can have like Greek yogurt, tofu, leftover meat, leftover fish from last night. Add some healthy fat. Here I'm going to put some feta and some butter.
Okay, wow. So she's recommending what I like to call an acid-based breakfast. It's in the words. We've got protein that breaks down to amino acids, and we have fat, which breaks down to fatty acids. And then we have carbohydrates, which actually helps hydrate the cell and gives you energy and actually helps the cell function at its best. You're actually contributing to a high acid load in your body and inflammation. That is not a great way to start the day.
Why not? Some little cherry tomatoes. So having a—
Well, she seemed a little bit uncomfortable saying that cherry tomatoes, probably because it's a fruit and she gets scared when she recommends fruit.
Savory breakfast in the morning is going to help you so much feel amazing. If your whole life you've been having cereal and orange juice, this is a game changer.
You are way better off having cereal and orange juice. This is not a game. This is a deal breaker, really, when it comes to metabolic health. It's kind of like having— It's kind of like the metabolic equivalent to putting diesel in a petrol engine if you have a breakfast like this. It is not a good idea.
So this is my little breakfast table.
Have we actually seen her blood results online? I'm not sure if she's actually posted them, but she's 33. She's still, how much younger than me? At least 12 years younger than me, or 13 years, 12. And, obviously, if she's been doing this for a short amount of time, she can get away with a bit, but long term, it is a shocker. So what Glucose Goddess is doing here is she's flatlining her liver. That's what I like to call it, liver flatline. And it's basically a metabolic state where you wake up in the morning after the overnight fast, you've used up a lot of your liver snacks. I call them liver snacks, but liver glycogen, which help balance the brain at night. And we're going to get more into that. And you fail to refeed, to replete that liver glycogen. And a lot of the time individuals then go to caffeine, right? Because they are so depleted of actual sugar and glucose and fructose, for instance, too. But let me explain how it works. So overnight, obviously you can't continue eating, right? But the brain, what I call the sugar diva, she demands sugar. She demands fuel still. So you have these stores in your liver. You have what I like to call sugary snacks stored in your liver as backup for the brain, because the brain keeps functioning. The brain, you're sorting memories, you're processing emotions, you're dreaming. So in order to not wake up or basically fall into a coma, you need to have these sugary snacks that are stored in your liver, and the brain will continually eat from those snacks all night. And different people have a different amount of snacks stored in their liver, especially people on a diet that Glucose Goddess recommends, which is it's high in protein, amino acids, and fatty acids. So it's not going to have sufficient amount of glucose and sugar coming in. So they're going to be already in a largely depleted state when they go to bed. So overnight, the brain continues to feast, and you wake up in the morning and you know that feeling of like, don't talk to me yet? That kind of feeling like, you're not ready to take on the world. Well, that can often be because your liver is actually 50% or more depleted. So it's really, really important that you refeed the liver, because that helps stabilize your blood sugar. That actually helps stabilize your cravings for the day and obviously your mood. And it just kind of sounds a bit crazy, doesn't it? It's the opposite of what Glucose Goddess is saying. And I find that a lot of recommendations in society these days is actually the opposite. The opposite is what is actually true. This is why the first meal matters a lot. It needs to be high carb, high sugar if you actually want to feel your best. But not everybody is honest about how they actually feel doing diets like Glucose Goddess is promoting. So hopefully that makes sense. You're using up your snacks. You're using up your glycogen store or your sugar tank, like I like to call it, overnight. And it needs to be filled up again. And this breakfast will not do that. Let's keep going.
Breakfast table.
And what if I don't have time to eat breakfast?
Common question. If you literally have 90 seconds to get out the door, my favorite way to have a savory breakfast is to do Greek yogurt, tablespoon of almond butter or peanut butter. Make sure it's unsweetened, doesn't contain any extra oils or anything. That's a really easy way to get your protein and your fat and make sure that your glucose is set up to be steady for the whole day. And whatever
Glucose Goddess is trying to say that a flattened curve is better than a spike. It is not. You need that spike in order to get the fuel into the cell where you can use it. You don't want to struggle trying to get the fuel. You want to go straight to what you need. You want the fast, clean burning fuel, especially in the morning when you need maximum energy. You don't want to have to process amino acids into sugar, by the way, like through gluconeogenesis, because that's very energy draining when you need energy, and it's very inefficient. You have to use 2 grams of protein to make just 1 gram of carbohydrates. It makes no sense to try to go through protein for your glucose. It's also not clean burning fuel like carbohydrates. If you're having excess fatty acids and excess amino acids, you're creating this toxicity in your bloodstream, this extra waste that your kidneys and your liver and your skin have to process and have to eliminate. So you're actually draining your energy so much by eating this way.
Time your breakfast is, whether it's at 7 a.m. or if your first meal of the day is at 2 p.m., the same rule always applies. Never have something sweet on an empty stomach, because when your stomach is empty, your body is super sensitive and anything you give it is going to arrive really quickly into your bloodstream.
And is coffee
anything you give it is going to arrive really quickly. So when it comes to sugar, for instance, white sugar, it's an even split of glucose and fructose. And that's something that was really important, which I didn't touch on before, is it's really important for you to get fructose in for your breakfast. And that is fruit sugar. It also comes in refined sugar as well, because you've got that even split of glucose and fructose, because that fructose 100% goes to refueling your liver. If you don't take that in, like she largely is not, then she's not going to get that refueling. Okay, she's not going to get that really efficient energy kick that she needs in the morning. And she's saying that anything that arrives is going to just, spike the blood sugar. When it comes to white sugar, for instance, it's only moderate GI. So even if you have it on an empty stomach, you're not going to get some crazy spike that is, it doesn't matter about the spike. It matters about the elevation. I don't want people to be so scared of a spike in the blood sugar because, like I said, it's how the cell gets the fuel. The insulin comes along and it helps sugar get into the cell. That's normal. That is normal. It's nothing to be scared of. What the problem is where the blood sugar stays elevated for hours longer than it should. And the reason for this is fatty acids are the main problem. Okay, they are stuffing up the delivery system and they're creating what I like to call lipid lock, where the fat is actually interfering with the sugar getting into the cell, the fat in the bloodstream, the fat in the cell as well. And some individuals have lipotoxicity, where they have this excess fat in the pancreas, their liver, and around their organs in general. So that needs to come down. It's not the sugar's fault. So you need this sugar, you need this carbohydrates, the fruits in the morning. This is what you're built for. You are a frugivorous animal. You're a primate. You're meant to live mostly on fruit. So that is ideal. You want that fast fuel. But when you have fat with that, that slows everything down, and that can create the problem, not the sugar.
Coffee bad?
Is coffee bad? Let's talk about that at the coffee shop.
Oh, wow. How ironic is that? Is coffee bad? Let's talk about it at the coffee shop. My case in point, right? I don't really need to say anything else here, do I? As she's having her fatty breakfast. Is that a fruit there? I'm not sure. It looks like a fruit bowl beside her or something. She's already thinking about the drugs. She's thinking about the caffeine, the psychoactive stimulant. What can I say?
Other hack, pimp your coffee. Come.
She's giving a hack about pimping your coffee. Great.
Okay, guys, full disclosure. I'm completely addicted to coffee. I try to quit every 2 days, but I can't. It's just too good.
What?
Oh my goodness. Am I the only one who can see this? I'm the only one who can see the problem going on here. I'm completely addicted to coffee. I try to quit every 2 days, but I love it too much. You love it because you have an addiction. You have literally a drug addiction. This is very concerning. If people can't make the connection here with her lack of glucose, her lack of carbohydrates, her lack of sugar in the morning for her breakfast, and the fact that within an hour, she's going to coffee. She's going to burnt coffee beans to prop her up, to mask this lack of sugar, lack of energy that she has. How is this okay? How is having something that is not a nutrient better than having a nutrient? She's having a drug. I'm just blown away by this. She's gone 8 hours or more without sugar. And then she's telling you not to start your day with sugar or carbohydrates again. It's like waking up and your phone is on 1% and just ignoring it and not plugging it in and opening like 12 apps at once, right? You're going to crash. It's not going to work out. You're going to go to the coffee. And that's what we see right here. Instead of plugging into her natural fuel source, she skips the sugar. And within an hour, she's at the coffee shop chugging down a coffee. I personally haven't had a coffee for about 20 years. 100% have not had a coffee. I don't need it.
What is your coffee order today?
My coffee order is flat whites with full fat dairy milk. And I hate this.
Wow. So she's having full fat as well. It's just going to be a metabolic disaster inside her cells. Well, I'm going to leave it there, okay, because I really did want to focus on this savory acid-based breakfast that she's recommending. And you can see the obvious implication of eating this way for breakfast is you're going to go to drugs. You're going to go to the drugs in the end, and that's what she's doing. She's proving that it doesn't work. This does not work. Her savory acid-based breakfast is not working. And the coffee is proof of that. Your brain is what I like to call a sugar diva. She is really demanding of sugar. She doesn't want amino acids. She doesn't want the fatty acids. She wants the sugar. And she's only 2% of your total body weight, but she requires she demands 20 to 25% of your total calories that you intake. It's basically like the smallest guest at the dinner table demanding most of the feast. This is how much sugar is important for your brain and your brain function. And that's why when you have a fruit smoothie with added sugar, it keeps you away from things like caffeine. I don't ever think about it. I don't need to try and quit every 2 days. I don't have any of this dependency. And that's real evidence of a fruit-based diet working very well and suiting our physiology as frugivores. So I hope all that makes sense. Leave any comments or questions you have below and I'll try to get to some of them. And yeah, please tell Glucose Goddess that the savory breakfast is flatlining her liver. A word of warning, frugivores, remember this. Do not take nutritional advice of those consuming caffeine. Drinking it, eating it, whatever. They do not understand basic human nutrition. All right, frugivores, don't forget to go fruit yourself and I'll see you soon.